My guest is Crystal Oracle, psychic, starseed, and experiencer who's had a lifetime connection to extraterrestrial phenomena. Through years of direct contact and abductions, she has gained profound insights into the interdimensional nature of reality and humanity's role within it. Crystal, thanks for joining me and welcome.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. It's great to be here.
Crystal, let's start with how this contact started for you.
Well, before we get started on that, I just want to let you know I am still recovering from a traumatic brain injury, and I did lose my ability to speak. So I'm sometimes a bit stuttery. Also, I do have to refer to my books sometimes, just because it's a bit quicker than recalling it. So that's what I'll be doing when you see me look over.
Okay.
So in August of 2010, I was in my apartment and it was overlooking a golf course. And it was early morning. I heard a sort of a buzzing noise, like a strange sound outside. And so I woke up out of bed and dawn was just breaking, like there was just a bit of light in the sky. And I could see these two metallic, well, first it was one metallic ball to the right of me, and then a second one flew in and joined it, and they started making these really strange patterns on the grass of the golf course. And as they moved closer to my window, there were patterns appearing in the grass, like crop circles. So they made three patterns, and the third pattern was right below my window. And at this point, I was just shocked. There wasn't really a lot going through my head. I was just watching crop circles appear. And then these two spheres shot past my left shoulder through the screen. They didn't break the screen, they just went through the screen. And so I turned around, like looked at my room, and everything looked normal. Except when I looked to my right, in front of my closet, there were these three pillars of white light. And in the beginning, I just thought I was dreaming. So I just sat there on the edge of my bed and I tried pinching myself. I tried, like smacking anything, just trying to just wake myself. Okay, this is a dream, but I was awake. So I couldn't wake myself up. I was wide awake. So then when I realized that, I stepped forward towards the pillar closest to me, and I reached my hand out. I was looking at it. I was really close up to it. I was like, just a few inches, like maybe 6 inches away. And I was looking really intensely at the structure of this pillar because there were strands moving within it. It was similar to a piece of selenite, like, selenite has these translucent strands, but they were moving within the pillar, and it was very bright, but the light wasn't blinding me. It wasn't affecting my eyes, and it was all contained in this perfect cylinder. So there was three of those, and these strands were moving within. It just looked so alien. Like there's nothing really to compare it to, I guess. But as I was just about to reach out and touch the pillar, they started speaking to me telepathically. And so when they were speaking to me, the first thing they said was, "We're extraterrestrials. We're not from here." And then I sat back down on the bed. I was just trying to wake myself up again. And then the experience really began. And that was a full recall abduction. So I ended up going up on their ship. There was a lot of information that was relayed to me really quickly. So there were things like, in the beginning, they said, "You are interdimensional. You have a matter body and a light body." And they said, "And so do we. And so does everybody. Everything that exists with a matter body has a light body." So that was like one of the first things they mentioned. And they said, "Your shaman have been traveling the universe for thousands and thousands of years, and they're known." And they showed me a picture of an ayahuasca shaman. So like the interactions went from my bedroom into like a different space, as if I was surrounded by images and they were narrating the experience. And there was clear telepathic communication the entire time. It felt like they were speaking in unison, but really it came through as just one clear communication. And um, they just they it was like I was in a movie with them and they were showing me the movie. It was interactive. So I was no longer in my room. I was in a space with them where they were showing me the image of the ayahuasca shaman and showing me him floating through space and coming up to an alien world and him being a little bit nervous and scared. And like I watched him descend towards the planet, and then we switched to the next topic. Um, so the next topic was the true history of Earth. And so they said that about 26,000 years ago, there was a species of extraterrestrials who came to Earth and they enslaved us. They said that they built all the pyramids simultaneously, and that the pyramids were all put on very important energy points on the Earth, which we call nodes, and that there were pyramids even hidden that were on these nodes. So they showed me like this geodesic pattern across the entire Earth, and they said that it was dark grid that kept everyone asleep. It was a false matrix, like a false reality. So they explained like kings, queens hierarchy. They explained how we were enslaved by money. They explained that all structures of modern society were created by this race. And then they showed me the race. This is like very detailed abduction. So they showed me what the race looked like. So the race, they said that they came in on a dark wave. And they showed me this. They showed me a wave coming through the cosmos, and there were beings in it, but they didn't have a form. They were like they looked almost like nanotechnology, these little pixels kind of coming through. Like it was just very different than what we would imagine an alien invasion to look like. They explained that they were multi-dimensional, that whenever they infested a world, they would come in the dimension above that species. So if they were going to infest a world where the beings lived in the fifth dimension, then they would come into the sixth, through the sixth dimension. So they were able to like subtly affect, and they're parasitic in nature. So they were able to basically control the beings. They were just parasites, basically. They were sort of an AI parasite. So then they showed me this ocean world that they had, and I guess they had been there before Earth. So this parasitic species was in an ocean world, and they showed me these like little extraterrestrial beings that lived in this strange ocean world. They looked like a cross between a sunflower and a seaweed, but they had like a face. So they're very, very strange looking, but they were sentient. And they just showed me like in a quick time lapse image that it went from them like singing and dancing in the waves and just kind of, they were fixed to the floor of this ocean world. Like they were an advanced form of plant, I think. But yeah, and then they went from being like this happy civilization to just blackness, like black everywhere. The sea was destroyed, everything was destroyed, the world was destroyed. And then they showed me the AI species leave that world and come to Earth. So they said in the beginning there were millions of them, but now there's only 432 left, because a lot of them left because the consciousness of the planet has been rising. They said the ones that are here now don't want to let go.
Even though this is your first conscious contact, they had been contacting you previously. You just didn't remember. Is that correct?
Now I know that they were contacting me, but there's a few abductions that I still can't uncover. I have screen memories, and I know that there was an abduction because the screen memories to this day I remember, and perfect clarity. They happened when I was a kid. And they're strange and metaphorical. So I have not been able to access those. I've been to multiple hypnotherapists. And I've had two memories that I have uncovered of being abducted with my mother.
You call them screen memories? What do you mean by that?
It's like they implant a fake memory so that you wake up going, I had a really weird dream, but it wasn't really a dream. It was like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I don't know, it was described to me as a screen memory. So like they implant a memory to cover up your abduction. So for me, it was like a wolf at my back door wakes me up and wants to talk to me, and there's a ghost with him. And like there was a message behind that, like the wolf wants to talk to you, except that the dream doesn't make sense. And I remember it above all the other dreams I've ever had. One of the most strong memories is, and same with, I had another, like what I think is a screen memory of meeting a druid at the Ireland when I was like 13 years old. And again, that it was out of place. It was a really strong memory. And I also woke up with a nosebleed a lot after having those screen memories. So I had like nosebleeds and weird marks. Just kind of like not an ordinary dream.
You also mentioned that they were making crop circles outside or something like that. Did you go outside
Yeah.
later and see crop circles in the grass?
I went outside the next day, and I couldn't, there was nothing there. It was driving me crazy. I was like down on my hands and knees trying to examine and see if there was anything. There were no crop circles, but when I saw them earlier, it looked like they burned crop circles. I don't know.
So we just went through your first contact experience that you can remember. Can you share with us your most profound experience?
Well, I think that one is my most profound experience. And there's so much to it. It's so detailed. I estimate I was with them somewhere from 6 to 12 hours. And at one point they even asked me if I wanted to, well, first they asked me if I trusted them, and they asked me if I wanted to come with them. I ended up on their ship. In the future, I ended up on seeing a future cataclysmic event. So that one was definitely the most powerful, but the second most powerful contact event that I've had is recent. I've never shared it with the world yet. And that one I actually have in my contact and dream journals. You can see I have a lot of contact. All these pink ones are contacts, so like direct contact. The second most powerful contact event that I've had would have to be probably this one. It was July 12th of 2021. And I started off in, I went to sleep. And so this was in like a dream space, but I was sleeping in my RV, and I started to like feel like a strange feeling. So I was waking up and I was in my RV, but then all of a sudden the RV and I shot, it was like the RV turned into a UFO and just shot off the planet. And then as I was accelerating through time and space, the RV pulled from me, and then I was just me. And I started accelerating through this tunnel of fractals of white light. And then I heard a very high pitched buzzing sound as it was happening. And within 12 seconds, I was like through this tunnel, this kind of a wormhole tunnel type of thing. And I was spit out into a world. And I was greeted by a female gray. And she said, "Welcome to our world." So I ended up going to the world that she said they live on. And that was pretty interesting, except what I found the most interesting was that they explained to me that they design worlds, that they are like the architects architects of the universe. And they showed me a lot of things. So in their world, they had water, they had water buffalo, cranes, they had earth creatures. So they had things that they had brought from Earth. But the water, they showed me the water and it moved really strangely. So there wasn't like a moon there. So there wasn't tides and the water didn't really flow the same. It kind of sat more stagnant. Um, it was very similar to Earth. They had mountains. They were very proud of themselves. She told me we built it ourselves. And she showed me um, like some of the animals. I've already said that, but she said like we brought these from Earth. And then she showed me like my bedroom. So I had a bedroom, and she said, we prepared this for you, we hope it's comfortable. And she said, when you get homesick, you can put your hands in this. And there was, in the middle of my room was like a slab of clay, and it had my handprints in it. And she was like, when you get homesick for Earth, you just put your hands in here. As if I had like a place with them. I was supposed to go back to them, which was pretty shocking. And then she said, I said, well, I don't really want to go back there. I said, what do you want me to do when I go back there? And she was pretty firm with me. She said, we're not going to pander to your ego. And I said, okay. She's like, you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And then I started to become aware of my body on Earth. So I realized I was bilocating, and that I had astral traveled to this place. My physical body was now waking up because there was something on the roof of my RV, and it was waking my body up. So I experienced bilocation, which is the first time I've ever experienced that. And it was a very strange feeling, but it also felt quite natural. So that was probably one of my most incredible contact experiences, aside from the 2010 abduction, in which they explained the basis of everything that I now believe about the world.
Did you say that the Greys are the ones that design worlds?
Yeah, they really showed me in great detail. They love it. Like the feeling that was radiating from them was pride and then duty. They felt a duty as well. Like this is their job is to, it's like they feel like they're expressing themselves creatively, but also this is like a divine sacred job that they have. They're scientists, they're genetic engineers, they're geneticists, and they're the architects of the universe.
It sounds like to me that this woman was part of your star family. You feel like she was a member of your star family?
I definitely do. But the thing is that I've met other members of my star family who are completely different species. So that's why I have no doubt in my mind now that I'm part of what I call the intergalactic community. Some people might call it the Intergalactic Federation. I don't really know, but they said the words intergalactic community to me. And I've
What
seen other species.
what other species?
There was a contact event which I had a lot in 2021, a lot of contact. But in 2021, I met 32, different species of extraterrestrials who identified as the intergalactic community. And so there's quite a few. It's hard to explain every single one. Some of them look very humanoid. They showed their ship, then so their ship would come in, and then they would step forward. Like this was all in the astral, but they would step forward. They'd show what their form looks like. They'd show male and a female or whatever if they had that. They explained where they were from, and then they'd step back, go back to their ship, and then the ship would move along, and then the next ship would come in. So I met like 32 different species. So there were some that looked like they had like gills, and like they were kind of strange colored, like brown and white, like splotches all over. They look like they're an aquatic type of thing, but they're a humanoid. So those ones are the strangest looking ones that I've seen. Although I have seen a few a few weird ones, but those ones really stood out to me. They just looked like they were aquatic, humanoid type people, but the markings were very clear. It was like sort of a brown and cream colored skin, and it was like it almost looked like they almost looked like puffer fish. So those were weird looking ones that I met during that. I remember seeing that one because I was just they were weirder looking than most of the ones I've met in that experience.
You said that you were meeting or connecting with the intergalactic community.
Yeah.
But what about the Council of 13?
I had a meeting with them. So I again, this was like when I didn't really know much about extraterrestrials. I was new. It was just after my 2010 experience where I started having visions and connecting with beings. So there's a woman who's come to me my whole life who she calls herself my grandmother, and she has like white hair. She's human looking, but I've seen her multiple times in like a strange spacesuit. So I saw her in this meeting that time when they told me I was the 13th granddaughter of the 13th council member of the Council of 13, and I was in a board meeting with them on a spaceship. They showed me my life on screens. They told me I was doing a great job. They showed me all the kind things that I was doing, all the acts of kindness that had been changing the world or helping, and these tiny little things were really big to them. So I never really knew what to do with that. It was kind of like, okay, that was some kind of a message, but what do I do with it? Now I understand that just recently I had a vision about that. So I had become the 13th council member. So I was now me in the future with white hair. I looked like the other women in the council. I was wearing a blue spacesuit. This was only a few weeks ago. So I guess I like embodied my role as a council member. And I think it was just to share the intergalactic community's messages with the world.
And what are those messages?
Well, I've written a book about it. I have a whole bunch of topics. Like I want to teach people how to access their interdimensional gifts. We have to begin with the foundational knowledge that extraterrestrials need us to know. So that is matter body, light body. That is astral travel, accessing interdimensional spaces, like opening your third eye, meditation. That's like basic things, taking care of the physical body. It's just basically we have to like, so they're trying to come down to meet us, and we can't descend because they can't get any lower. So we got to come up. We've got to meet them in our consciousness, and we need the basics to understand what kind of a universe they operate in. Like what, if we were trying to explain the world to somebody, we'd have to start with the basics. Like you need to breathe air, and there's going to be water here. You have to drink water. You've got to eat food. And for them, it's like their spiritual science is the basis of everything. So matter body, light body, just being able to talk to them, just to meet them and hear them. And we have to be more advanced.
What do you think your mission is as a starseed?
My mission is to help other starseeds. I know a lot of them are really having a hard time. And I just want to inspire people to, instead of focus on like how hard it is, because I just noticed in starseed forums, there's a lot of complaining. I'm not negating it, but I feel like the movement has turned into something, it's not uplifting. I want to just keep that movement uplifting. Like we've gotta remember like that the darkness is what drives change. So the change and the growth comes in it. And we are so close to contact now. Like we're already having contact, but I'm talking like the mass contact, the global contact, where we become part of the intergalactic community. We become space travelers. We've got to just learn some stuff first. We need to know the basics so that we can understand where they're even coming from.
Do you have a timeline when a major event will happen and we will have opened Closure?
So I've done this before where I've predicted events, and like sometimes I've been able to predict it to the exact day. But time is a bit of a construct. So um I don't know exactly when, but I know it's in the next probably 7 years. And the year 2027 has been jumping out at me over and over and over again. So I don't know exactly what is coming, but it's likely that something, something big is going to happen very soon, like in the next few years. And it's already kind of beginning now. We've already got some strange things in the sky showing up all over the world, these mass sightings, the drones, and then followed by the orbs.
Do you think that's because of humanity's waking up?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think that one is forcing the other. So the drones, which I believe are military, they're forcing the orbs, that's the intergalactic community, to say, okay, well, since you're all looking up at the sky right now, here we are.
What challenges do you think humanity must overcome to reach its next stage of awakening?
I think that humanity is very self-focused. I think that humanity needs to start seeing the world differently, but we also need to get rid of the structures that have broken. Like, I don't like blaming humanity for the structural issues that have demoralized humanity. Like, this was done to us. We're innately good and we're light beings. So I think humanity has a lot of growing up to do, but we also need to get rid of these structures, get rid of the parasites. We need to reclaim our world and our society, rebuild society based on, the natural laws. Human beings are not supposed to commodify other human beings or children or live just such an imbalanced state. It only benefits these negative forces to keep us so absolutely traumatized and controlled.
Why don't the Greys help us get rid of these other beings?
They have. They sent 333 million starseeds.
It sounds like a lot of your contact happens through astral travel, right?
Yes, a lot of it does now. And when I was younger, it was abductions, more physical. But I think that each time I've been abducted, I felt like I came back more psychic and had more gifts. And I think it's just a lot easier for them to contact me when I can just kind of pop out and go see them, or, it's feels like it's really easy now.
How can people contact them themselves if they want to?
That is a great question. I get asked that question a lot. For me, the bridge between me and those worlds was meditation. And in my book, I actually do some exercises. But meditation is the way. The third eye is the gateway. Like there is things that you can do to open it. And the more you practice it, it's sort of like lifting weights or going to the gym. The more that you do it, the more that you practice it, the more you have that strength, and you can just kind of just get yourself into those states. And then just ask, because really they don't violate the laws of free will. So they don't just show up. Like, even before that contact event, that night I thought to myself, it just randomly popped into my head, like, I wonder if aliens are real. If they are, I'd like to see a UFO that night. And so that thought opened the door to them and allowed them to contact me, because it is the law of free will and non-interference. They follow that. So you have to ask. You have to ask them to come to you.
I was going to ask you, how did they choose you? And are you saying It's because you asked if aliens are real?
Yeah, it was just like a quick thought in my head, but I remembered it because of this high strangeness of them showing up after this thought in my head that night, like, I wonder if they're real, and like I want to see a UFO. And I mean, and then I went to sleep, and that was the experience that I had.
Can you share some more of the teachings that you received from the ETs?
Yeah, so there were a couple topics, and excuse me, when I look over, I'm looking over at my book that I have here, so I can kind of cover that. So they taught me about flying, so flying in the astral, but also flying in the physical, which at some point we may be able to do that. I'm not sure, I'm not sure how that's going to look, but they have mentioned it a few times. They've also talked about changing the weather, so learning how to change the weather with our minds. Um, Another skill they taught me is transmutation. So transmutation is taking something and turning it into something different. So like taking like darkness, turning it into light. And they've given me really specific exercises on how to do that. Um, you can transmute like all kinds of things. They taught me how to open portals and how to close portals and how to use portals. They've taught me, let's see what else.
Well, have you been successful at doing any of these things?
Yeah, not flying in body. That one I'm still working on. Everything else, yes. I've been successful in opening and closing portals. I've been successful in, pretty much all of it. It's all been like lived experience. So like get the lesson, get the teaching, and in the teaching while I'm standing with Enoch, it's usually my guide Enoch, who's an Arcturian. He is normally the one who facilitates the teaching part. So like he'll stand in front of me and he'll explain, okay, so today you're going to learn about this. And then we will do it together. And so, and I've been able to change the weather after his teachings using the skills. I've been able to do some pretty strange things. I've freaked people out a few times. Sometimes I have to keep it under wraps. If it was like the 1700s, I would probably be considered a witch.
So here in the physical, you can change the weather?
Yeah.
Pretty neat.
Yeah. I can find missing people.
Can you give us an
Um,
example of when you changed the weather or how you did it?
well, there were no witnesses, so you guys will have to take my word for it. But we had a big thunderstorm roll in, and I was able to use the techniques that Enoch taught me to completely stop and dissolve a storm. And it was a pretty crazy electrical storm. And within 10 minutes of using the techniques, the storm was gone. Like it was just gone. It was blue sky.
Are you going to be teaching these techniques in your book?
Yeah. So then there's like things like transmutation. That's really important. So sometimes people will experience like negative things, like say a ghost or something, or a shadow person. Like I was specifically taught how to dissolve them or transmute them into light. I don't know if everyone should do that, but I do feel like I feel like if I'm being taught that, then I'll teach others. Like, who am I to say do it or don't do it? Um, I wouldn't be I wouldn't be afraid of the darkness, especially when you're so powerful. Like we're so powerful. We're powerful beings. So yeah, they taught me how to transmute evil into light, and they taught me um, how to embody light, which is a really, really cool. It was a very cool teaching. So like becoming pure light. So those pillars that I met that night in my room, those were the grays uh in their light body. They came to me in their light body, and I was taught how to do that, how to become one of those pillars.
Do they have an urgent message?
Yes.
What is it?
They are basically saying, we're here, we're showing up, things are about to change. It's going to get a bit rough right now because the parasites are losing control, and they're going to try absolutely everything they can to maintain their control. So they're basically saying, we're here, we're showing up, we're going to be in the skies, and we need you guys to really start working on your meditating, start working on the ability to connect with us, because we're not going to be able to just land in your front yard and come over for tea. It's like we need you to meet us. And so, and that's like, we're going to start, and that's why I explained in my book as well, is that there's stages to the contact. So it starts off maybe when you're a kid being abducted, and then it goes into more astral and dream contact. And then for me, it just got to the point where I just get telepathic messages when they come through in my regular waking days, or when I'm asleep, it's like direct. But we're all going to be there, because like I'm not like some kind of special, like I just been taught this my whole life, so I've been like kind of being guided to show the way for others. But we're all going to be doing this.
What is your vision on how humanity and the ETs will interact on planet Earth?
I've been shown the new Earth many times, the new world. So I've been really lucky. Like I've been able to see our future, which takes a lot of anxiety away for me when I see what's going on in the world. But our new Earth, like the new world, is very peaceful. There's no war. There's no starvation. And they give us technology. They give us so much technology. They basically redesign the world in a way that makes sense for people, instead of, sort of an anti-human structure right now those structures are collapsing. So in place of those structures, we're given technology that just solves all these problems. Like there's no pollution, there's no money, there's no war, there's no any kind of like sicknesses or disease are pretty much gone. Everything is so much better. And then they do show up. Like we'll be looking at them. There will be times where they'll be standing in front of us, but they'll be able to communicate telepathically, and they always have to obtain our consent. Like there needs to be respect. So they'll be teaching us about telepathic communication basics, like how to be polite, and like when you're standing in front of someone, you shouldn't be thinking any negative thoughts about them, and like everything that you think is broadcast. So they'll be teaching us things like basic etiquette, basic, just how to kind of step up into their league.
Do you think that there are ETs walking up us?
Yeah, I do. I think there's lots of different, like, there's the star seeds, like the ones like they told me I'm 50% human, 50% alien. So we look like humans, but we don't really feel like we belong or fit in. We feel like aliens. And then there's also other ones, like there's the parasites. I don't really think they have a form, but they kind of possess people. And then there's the draconians, I think they're called, or the dracons, the reptilians. I've definitely seen those ones. I'm not sure if they're able to shapeshift, or I've seen them do a lot of portal stuff. And then I don't even know like what other species, but I do think that there's a lot more going on than we could ever imagine, and that we're just sort of kept in the dark. And that there's two factions one is trying to help and one is trying to fully control.
Earlier, you mentioned something about a grid system. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so they showed me in the 2010 abduction that Earth was, that these pyramids were built on all the nodes of the Earth, and that this matrix had an effect on our consciousness and our bodies, and that it basically kept us asleep and in a very low consciousness, like a low density vibration. And they were really strongly hinting at somehow dismantling the grid, or they weren't really telling me outright, but later on there was like repeated telepathic messages about a new grid being installed, or like them dismantling this grid. And then I did actually have a very profound contact event, or I would say maybe astral travel, where the twin flames, there was like 144,000 beings above the earth. They were all like floating in a geodesic pattern as well, but they were twins. There was like, I believe they were what we'd call the twin flames. So we were all up above the earth. This was on I'm sorry, I don't know the exact date, but I do have it in my book, and in my dream journal here. But basically, the twin flames they were like supposed to anchor in a new grid, and it was successful. So there's a whole long story. Do you want me to tell it?
Well, I want to follow up with this. I would think that this grid system is blocking humanity's ascension. At least that's what it sounds like to me, and maybe it needs to be dismantled so we can all move up.
Yeah, it has been dismantled though. That's the thing that like it's a powerful, powerful experience. Um, and I just want to explain it. I'm just gonna look for it so that because it's in here. Yeah, here it is. So it was in January. Was it January? It was in 2022 is when this event happened. Yeah, it was actually it was October 12th of 2021. So basically what happened was I woke up above the earth with my twin flame. I looked around. There were also couples, two people. And this experience happened where there was a narrator. So there was an extraterrestrial telepathically narrating the entire thing. And we were each with our twin flames. We became like snakes that wrapped around a staff, a caduceus. And then when we hit the top, the wings started to flutter. There was this kundalini golden ray, which was like came up through our spines. There was this whole like incredibly complex spiritual, but also kind of extraterrestrial event. And then we all landed, we all like shot it into the earth as if it was kind of like an acupuncture. So everyone at the same time, all these twin flames, they shot this energy into the earth. So that was in October, and there were things that just started to shift really quickly, like the consciousness of the planet started to shift. Things were definitely, there was like an awakening that seemed to happen around that time. So that was for me, it felt like that was real. Of course it was all astral, but it was very powerful. And the golden, it's like a golden ray, and the word kundalini was said to me, it was said to all of us during that. So I have yet to find any other starseeds who are like, I was there, I was part of that. But I do think that there will be other ones who will have had the same vision, because it was just so alien. Like that was extremely alien. It was orchestrated, it was narrated, it was perfectly timed. There was like extreme symbolism, but things that like I didn't even know what a caduceus was, and also really had no interest in it. So it was just kind of strange that was like the symbol that they used to anchor in this new era.
Is your twin flame here on the planet or in the astral?
No, he's here on the planet.
Have you met him?
Yeah. We're actually still good friends. We dated, but it didn't really work out. It was very intense, but we're still friends. Wish him the best, and he's out there doing the good work.
How do you define what a twin flame is?
Twin flame is your soul partner who you came here with in order to complete a mission. For me personally, after that experience, the twin flame phenomenon makes more sense to me. I just feel like that there was a very important like balancing, as if the souls were balancing these two polarities together when they were doing that work. So I just feel that it's like it's a soul agreement where you and a soul that you've traveled with many lifetimes, who is sort of your counter. So like if you're really, I guess if you're like more like light, they would be more dark. They have to have a polarity to you. So that's why the relationships don't often work out, because they're so they're so different. Like the people are so different than each other, and it's very volatile.
I think some
But it's incredible for astral and spiritual work.
I think some people would define a twin flame as if a soul split into two beings and
Yeah.
then they're together. But it sounds like to me you're just describing maybe a member of like your soul family that reincarnates with you.
I don't really know exactly what it is. Like I feel like it's soul family, but it's open to interpretation. People can think whatever it is that they want. Um, there's no right or wrong. It's all subjective.
The book is going to be called You Are Interdimensional, a Starseed's Handbook. What things do you think starseeds need to know?
Okay, so there's a couple. One is that the star seeds, we need to take back our movement and turn it into information sharing instead of just venting about how hard it is here in the world. And I know that seems a bit harsh, but I feel like our movement has been disempowered, and that these kind of teachings, these extra dimensional teachings, we should be sharing that with each other. That's really important because I'm not the only person who has this information coming in who's learning how to access these gifts. There's some that are so advanced, like they can do things, they can move objects with their minds. And I think sharing that information with each other and teaching each other how to do that, that's collectively helping everybody. Because this is all normal for the extraterrestrial civilizations. They can all do that stuff, all of them. They can move things with their mind, they can heal with their hands, they can change the weather, there's just, it's sort of considered normal gifts, like not even gifts, the normal state.
Did these ETs reveal to you what technology that we current have that came from them?
Yes, but the thing is that I actually worry sometimes about disclosing some of the information that they've told me, because in the past, when I have talked about certain military things, I've had a really dangerously heavy response and had men in black helicopters show up at my house. I've had the feeling that I was going to be killed. It was really scary. It was a really dark time. So there's certain information and technologies that I don't feel like it's safe for me to mention. And a lot of it is government. So I can say that the government has reverse engineered things, and they have exact replicas of gray ships. And that's really all I can say.
Do you see ships regularly in our physical state? Like, do you go outside and ever see them?
Yeah, I have lots of videos of ships. Yeah, I've seen like hundreds and hundreds of UFOs since 2010.
Wow. Maybe we should have showed some of those videos.
Oh yeah, I have some. I have two recent ones. So that's a UFO that showed up for my son and I when we were on the beach in Parksville in 2021. It's slowed down, but it's not edited in any other way. It's just slowed down.
It looks like a plasma orb.
Yeah, it was a green. Oh, it looks really solid from like visual perspective from our eyes. It looked like a solid circle, but when you zoom in, it also changed color as it got closer to us. And at the end, it was actually ended up hovering right over us. But my phone was not. It started malfunctioning. The camera started to malfunction. So that's all I could get of this object.
That was great. All right. You want to share? Do you have another one you can show us?
Okay, so this one's on September 16th. And this was just outside of my house. And so it showed up. And as my roommate comes out, dims down. So there's a telephone pole. You can see it's quite low and it's quite bright. This is the kind of UFO that I see a lot of. And there was no way that was a satellite. Far too low, far too big, far too bright.
If people want to find out more about you and your content, should they go to your YouTube channel or do you have a website?
Yeah, so I have a website. It's called lightgridnetwork.com. And so I've got a blog there, I've got some of my videos, and I've got links to my other social media accounts. And so that'd be a good starting point.
If people want to ask you questions, are you open to that?
Yeah, I'm open to that. There should be an email contact link on my website. You can just send me an email.
Is there anything else that you're working on that you want people to know about?
I've been working on a second book as well. So I'm gonna we're just in the editing stage. I have a wonderful editor who's part of our movement who's helping me with this. So shout out to Nicole at Conquer Books for the assistance and guidance. And yep, thank you for helping me with my book and getting this message out to the world.
Before we finish up, can you give us one last positive message?
The things that are going to be unfolding over the next few years, they're going to be challenging. But in the end, we have a new world. It's a better place. Society and humanity will take their place among the stars. We will be space travelers. And in the end, we're not doing this alone. We have so this is that pivotal time, that turning point in humanity's history, where we actually are the ones who are part of the shift. We're the ones who are changing the world forever. And so we're lucky to be here and we're doing an excellent job. It's already happened.
Crystal, thank you for your message and thank you for being my guest.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.